I was probably 13 years old when I broke my dad's heart. I was making a sandcastle on a beach, one of the drip castles where you just let the sand drip through your fingers and it kind of piles up and looks all cool. And my dad came over and splashed me with water in this playful, hey, let's wrestle sort of way. And I got so angry at him. And I very vividly remember him walking away, dejected, shoulders slumped. I've always known that my dad really wants connection and intimacy with me and my siblings, but there's always seemed to be this gap, this limit to his ability to actually connect with us. And as I've gotten older, I've wondered a lot about that, because the desire is there, but there seems to be a lack of skill to actually have intimate connection with his kids. And the more I think about it, the more I think it is that he has passions, he has things that he loves, and he's always trying to welcome us into that, join me in this cool thing, come check out this thing. It's photography, it's gardening, it's cooking, whatever it is at the time. He's always trying to invite us in to his passions, into his world. But I think he's really struggled to know how to enter into our world. He didn't know how to enter into my sandcastle building world. He had this idea in his mind of we can wrestle, we can play, we can splash each other with water. And he was trying to welcome me into his concept of what connection would look like in that moment, instead of entering into mine. And I rejected him. I didn't want to enter into his world. I was focused on my world. And I know that rejection hurt a lot for him. I saw it. I can still see it in my mind. But I think this goes much deeper than that moment. I think there is a gender element to this, because I think men are not taught how to enter into somebody else's world. We aren't conditioned to enter into somebody else's world. We're conditioned to having people enter into our world. I think it's why men can go on a date and feel like the date is really great and the connection's amazing, because the woman who's conditioned to enter into other people's worlds asks a lot of curious questions about the guy, and he feels wow, I feel so seen and known and understood. This is great. And the woman on the date is this is dumb. This is terrible. I don't feel seen. I don't feel known. Because she's entering into his world and she wants to know about him, and he's not interested in entering into hers. Or think about how many women enter into the world of men by watching movies and reading books that center on men, and how resistant men are to watching movies that center on women or reading books that are written by women. Men don't enter into the world of women, but they expect women to enter into their world. I've heard from women that their partners, their husbands, will not want to spend any time with their family, but the wife is expected to spend a bunch of time with the man's family. And this goes back, this is very institutionalized, where a woman will leave her family and be joined together in the man's family. That's in the Bible. So we have very deeply ingrained cultural expectations that women enter the world of men, but men don't enter the world of women. In fact, they don't enter the world of anyone else. And I think it plays out in fatherhood as well. I think that's what I was seeing in my dad, is that he wanted desperately to connect with me, but he didn't know how. Because nobody ever taught him how to enter into his kids' world, enter into anyone else's world. Everything was trying to invite people into his world, because that's the only way that he knew how to connect. So as somebody who has been conditioned, who's raised as a man, I have to do really intentional work. I have to intentionally be aware of entering into my partner's worlds, entering into my children's world? What are they interested? What are they about? What are the people that are important in their lives? How do I ask questions about them? How do I enter into their world instead of just expecting them to enter into mine?